confirm that, Mandel.
Yes, from my side, you can hear clearly. I think the rest of the team can also confirm via the chat if you can hear him.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So let me just turn my video on for a second for you guys to see me.
Out.
Sorry for that. Hope you can see me. So my name's Silas Selike. Currently, I'm a technical mentor at Moringa School. Also, besides that, I'm a UI UX designer. So my role entail, so someone will ask, what do you do at Moringa School? So basically my role entails, traditionally was known as teaching. So teaching students how to design or how to be designers, UI UX designers. And that's pretty much about me. And let me, I guess I can now turn off my camera and dive into it. So let me share my screen right away. Okay, confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about prototyping for user-focused design, and maybe just to give you some go-ahead, some interesting news is that if you participate, well, there might be goodies at the end of this session. So be good audience, ask questions, and also uh, unmute and speak. Of course, if you have any hesitation, if I'm explaining something and you're not getting it. Today's session will be more of hands-on. So we're going to see how we can prototype in Figma, and in this case, we're going to focus on user-centric design. So, as I said, my name is Silas Silike. You can follow me on Twitter at Silike Silas. So to start the session, first of all, we need to ask ourselves, hope you can see my screen.
Yes, I can still see your screen.
We've seen on the topic is prototyping for user focus. So first of all, I want to pose a question. I know most of us here are UI UX designers, or rather, if you're not UI UX designers, we have like that passion for UI UX. So what do you guys think is user focused design? Let me hear from you guys. Anyone? You can just unmute and speak. Or should I choose someone randomly? Huh. Anyone? Okay. So basically, when you talk about user focused design, we are talking about design approach that prioritizes users' needs and goal. And by this I mean that we are going an extra step, not just like doing what you expected, but an extra space of conducting research, having a very crude understanding of our users before taking the next step of even going to designing the high fidelity prototypes. Uh, and with that, now let's dive into Figma to see how we can prototype basically for that. And our task today to understand how we can prototype better for user-centric approach. We're going to rely on on redesign. So with redesign, you're going to, collect user feedback, and then after this, you're going to try to see where we can improve, and we'll discuss this as we move. So the tools that I expect you to use, because as I mentioned, it's going to be a more of a hands-on uh, session. And by hands-on, I mean you're going to use Figma to design. Of course, if you are new to Figma, worry not, or you're going to just start from scratch, it's going to be, you know, beginner friendly, and also for those, who are in the market, they can still follow along and understand and at least learn a bit. So to start, I'm gonna come over here, create a new slide. Hmm. So hope you can see my Figma, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So it's taking some time to load. For those who are following along, feel free to pose a question if you don't understand anything, but I'll just take you over like the designing process from just scratch. Hmm. So we have our Figma over here. As I mentioned, it's going to be beginners friendly, and also for those who are new, who are trying to move from one tool, maybe Adobe or something, they can be comfortable with it. So here, over here, we have like some basic tools to use. We have drag tool, we have chat tool, we have this was recently introduced, it's resource. So if you come over here, you can get widgets, plugins, and also components easily. We have text, we have pen and pencil, so they pretty work really good. So for pen, you can choose to create something like an icon with it. So maybe I want to create an icon that looks like a home icon. I can do something like that, and then of course I'll have to fill this and this. I can choose to have my fill different color. So by having a different color, I mean just changing everything. So black. Also, I want to have over here, I want to have black too. So it will be 000. So you can use the pen tool to create something like an icon and many other interesting things. We can use this to bend. So if you are on the pen, you can bend. So, but I'm done with it. So you can bend like corners and everything to create something like smooth border radius. This is a shape tool. So this shape tool, it's one that we usually like use a lot, because in most cases these shapes are the ones that consist of, when they come together, they, they build that component that you're looking for, or even an organism. So we have that, and we have this. This is a frame icon, and also we're going to use this a lot. So just as we mentioned, we're going to consider an existing product, and then try to gather views. Of course, the views are going to come from you guys. And then from those views, we're going to see how we can create low fidelity wireframes. Of course, from those low fidelity wireframe, we'll see how we usually, prototypes this low fidelity wireframe to give us feedback, to gather feedback from users. Uh, Also, you're going to, you know, see how we can improve these low fidelity wireframes to high fidelity wireframes, and test them with real users. And Yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to do. And we can start by creating wireframes. But first of all, you have to decide on what particular product do we want to uh, maybe redesign to have a better understanding, or even to make it look good and user centric. So back to you guys. What product do you want us to design and why? Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
What do you think? What product and why to redesign?
Uh, wow. You really put me on the spot.
Any product works.
Um, hmm. Hmm.
Hey, sorry, can I just help you out there? I
Yeah,
think,
please.
uh, yeah, I see someone has commented that the StanChart app is terrible. I happen to be in StanChart, so I'd agree. I think
Oh,
try to do a banking application because it seems like banking apps don't have very good user experiences. They're very complicated, let's just say. So let's try. Yeah, many people are actually commenting on banking apps, so I think a banking app would be a decent place to start.
okay, stand chat up. Let me find some two screen of this stand chat bank app.
I think this the fact that I don't see how you can consolidate the revenues and the applications. I've seen worse. If you check what's
Mm,
it called, Bank of Africa, they have a terrible user. Like you can go and download the app and you'll be shocked.
okay, interesting. So we've settled on a banking application. Let me just take here frame and try to write here our points. So now it's a banking application. Right now, if you are near your device, of course, you're using it to communicate. Try to go online. Try to look how a the how the screens of StanChart application looks like, and then we're going to take that feedback. We're going to move that feedback to another level of now creating maybe a new try to create a new design that it's more of user centered rather than focusing to the business bit. So uh Dominic, it was I don't know if it was Sydney, right?
Yeah.
So Sydney, you are one of our users of Stanbic application. So what do you think? What what is their experience? How can you explain their user experience in that app? The user experience in that app.
It's uh it's too complicated, first of all, but at the same time, it's too simple. So like for example, the what's it called? The navigation, for example, is extremely uh clunky. It's extremely clunky. There are a lot of things, some very unnecessary. Uh, if I just open the app, let me just see if I can make this easier.
Okay. I have like some specific questions that mostly we usually use when we try to get feedback on where to improve. Maybe if you are redesigning and everything. So maybe answer these following questions and we will build on that maybe. So So where is this application confusing to use? Uh, Maybe when you try to use it for simple tasks like paying or getting money, where is it like very, very confusing to use?
So, for example, yeah, I think the banking applications need
Mhm.
to be very simple. The whole point of an app in this case is to get rid of the complexity of dealing with banks. A good example would be like NCBA Loop. They have a decent app. The app is fairly decent. So with Stanchart, the navigation. So for example, uh, the menu items, yeah, are very some are very vague and some are very unnecessary. I think, for example, you have items like you see there's home and then there's something like cardless cash, which that doesn't tell you a lot about that particular feature. I think your menu items should always give you some indication of what function you're performing. So if you see home, then you see cardless cash, then you see transfers,
Mhm.
those sorts of what that wording is very vague. The menu item, in my opinion, should tell you or give you at least 90% of an idea about what function needs to be performed when you enter that menu item. So I would say the problems would be a bloated menu. The menu is extremely bloated, and the app, the the menu items are very vague in terms of what function they're claiming to perform. Let's just say it's
Interesting.
very the yeah. I would also add on that the so they don't have a nav bar. They don't have a bottom nav bar. Yeah, they use a side nav bar, and that's the thing. These banking apps need to be very easy to use, and having a bottom navigation with your primary functions. You know, sending money, viewing your balance, those sorts of things are not very present. So you need to use the side menu and the the quote unquote home screen has very weird uh, again, you know, when you're putting a title on the top of your app screen, your title also needs to reflect where you are in the app. For Stanchart, the home screen, the top bar, if anyone is on Stanchart here, you can just check. So it's just written C. It's written C, SEE. So you know what the question is, what does that, what you know, those kinds of questions are very, they need to be asked because now on the top it's written C. What am I seeing? You know, the wording needs to be very specific to what screen you're on. Yeah. The it's also not what can I say? Uh it has two sorts of what do you call them? So they have a list, sort of a list block where it says how much you have and then how much you owe. So this is on iPhone. This is on iPhone. You
If
can
you
see
agree,
it
you
right.
can type in chat. Sorry for
Sorry?
that.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
reminding people to type in chat also.
oh, wow. Yeah, so I would say uh yeah, it looks probably the same on Android. So it's very So I can see Margaret, if you just check your home screen, I don't know if it says like C. If you open just the home screen, you'll see just the word C. And it's a shame because the splash screen is not half bad. And I was actually expecting a lot better from Stancha. Yeah, those would be the things that I would say. The navigation is extremely convoluted and clunky, and the home screen doesn't give you a lot of information, and the information it gives you is also, presented in a very basic manner. Like your interaction with it is actually extremely limited. If you click on your current balance, uh, you can just see your account details, see a calendar. I'm not sure what the calendar is for. I think it sort of lets you know when you transacted. But again, that's the thing. These they don't they're not self-explanatory. There's a saying for UX designers: if you have to explain what is going on in your screen, then it's not a very good screen. So I would say those are the sorts of problems that a good example of, okay, a decent experience I would say is like NCB. The loop account is the loop app is not the worst. Do they have screens
Okay,
based on the account
that's
type?
that's really good, Dominic. Thanks. So
Mm.
as you've seen,
So what, as far as account type goes, it just tells you the account type that you're on and your balance, and then it tells you your card info that you can access with an OTP, and yeah, that's about it. Do they have in-app chat?
mic check.
No, they have an FAQ. But honestly speaking, no, I think uh, I don't think I've seen a banking app with an in-app chat feature. I'm not sure that I would use it because some people just call the bank directly, but I can see how it might be useful. Oh,
Sure.
yeah, someone is saying KCB has that's interesting. Yeah, I've not seen. They have an FAQ section. Uh, Service requests. Let me have a look. Some of the links. Okay, they have a service request feature. That's as close as I would say you can get to an in-app chat. I haven't seen anything else that would that looks like an in-app chat. So yeah, they have a service request feature. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? Mic check. Mic check.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I guess my screen froze for a minute. Sorry about that. Thanks for for those insights. So as you've seen, uh, that was deep. So that's a user trying to, you know, to give the feedback about the
I see it.
application that.
And I would just say that even if the chat feature exists, it depends on whether there's someone actually seated there waiting for these chat requests, because I would assume that would entail more investment in chat, people waiting for chat.
Okay. Yeah, that's really impressive. And so let's continue with our process. So remember, in our process, you are to collect user feedback, and then after this feedback, we're going to create low fidelity wireframe, of which this low fidelity wireframe, as we're creating, we're keeping in mind the user's needs. Of course, the user's needs that uh, we've been given during the, try when we're trying to understand users' goal and needs. And the needs just captured a few. And from our needs, we can see we have accessibility issues, and then also clunky number and everything. So we are going to try. You're not going to like build the exact product, but what you're going to do, you're going to build something that can relate to this particular user. And in most cases, what people usually do after gathering this particular feedback, you're supposed to now come up with a defined persona. And this persona is just a fiction user that now these needs uh, these needs are pinned towards them. So to design user persona, of course, due to time, you're not going into details, but you're supposed to design a user persona, a fiction person that user needs are pinned towards them, and also a journey that they're supposed to take now uh, when they're using this particular application. So to do this, now we are going to move to wireframing. So wireframing, and in this case, we're going to focus mostly on low fidelity. So I'll just come over here. I'll name this page to maybe uh, user feedback or research. So this is usually called foundational research. So we'll come to another page of, so we want to create our low fidelity prototype. But beside this, of course, you'll have to forgive me. You have to use something called a library, or have an existing design system to at least have your, like, where you can get your component, your element. If you have like an existing design system and you're trying to follow along, you can use that. If you don't have, try I'll show you how someone can build one, and also a style guide. So to build a style guide, let's create here a frame. First of all, we're going to have our colors. I don't know the colors that you're going to use, but to have a style guide, you're going to click on this. So this is the color maybe that you want to choose. Then we're coming over here where we have fill. This is fill, so this is just the color that this particular rectangle contain. Then we're coming over here. Then let me just repeat that for those who didn't get. We're coming over here where we have 4 dots. So this is just to try to see if you have like existing styles, they'll appear here. So you're trying to pick a color from the existing style guide, or rather the library that we have. So we can choose if you want to add, you'll come over here, click on the plus to create a style, and then you'll name this style, maybe desired name, gray, and also you can add a description. So you can add description and then you create a style guide. So next time if you're coming, you have like maybe a shape with a different color. You want to pick an existing color from the library. You can just come over here, click on the 4 dots. So we're clicking the shape that you want to change the fill, and then over here on fill, click now on the 4 dots. If you click on 4 dots, you're going to be presented with the color that you have. So remember, you're going to be presented with the color that you have you've used on existing libraries, and also the color that the color style that you just created. So for me, I want maybe to pick the color style that I've created. It would be something like that. So that said, we can start now on our low fidelity wireframe. At least you've understood that. To do that, you're going to come over here. We need to have an artboard where we can, an artboard just represent the real user's screen. So click on that artboard. On that artboard, on that frame, come over here, and then we'll choose the artboard that we want. So if you come over here, sorry, maybe you want to, let's choose a smaller device that most of our users use, but I had the needs that we've been given, they are from a user that uses iPhone. So it will be good to focus on something like iPhone, but not this large screen. So we want to also make it easier, and but of course, remember, we're designing for accessibility too. We are trying to see how accessibility can fit into this, and to counter that, we need to like also put users who are using small phones into consideration. So if we go with iPhone 8, I guess it will be suitable for both our users who are using, larger screens and smaller screens, as far as mobile phones are related. Up to that point, any question? Let me open the chat to see if there's any question. That no question means everything is smooth. So with that, we are coming over. Of course, it's good practice to always name your frame to the screen that you're trying to represent. So for instance, maybe this is a home frame. Remember, this is low fidelity. So with low fidelity, the good thing about starting with low fidelity and also prototyping low fidelity is that it gives you that feel. Also, one of the advantages is it reduces the cost. So and also you get that immediate feedback, and you can be able to change, maybe instead of going into visuals where you can consume a lot of time, you can change, you can revert back in case things are going southways. You can revert back before even before going further with the project or the process. So you have that. So of course, first thing first, we might want to have our grids on. So to have our grids, click on the frame, coming over here to grid, we want to have a specified type. So of course, we are designing from top to bottom. So it will be wise to use column grid, and on mobile phone we usually have 4 of them. Make sure they are stretched, the type is stretched, and based on what you want to design, um, you can change the color maybe to reflect. um, if you're designing for, let's see, I get that, that's pretty, but let, let's go with what we're used to. So column grid, and then we said we want to have the columns, to have 4 columns. And then we're going to specify, of course, the type is stretch. And then you're going to specify the margin. So if you're wondering what margin is, the margin is from the space at the end of your device. So at any given time, there's no way, of course, we might have an anomaly, but in most cases, there's no way content will run from end to end. So you're supposed to have a certain dedicated margin to, have our app look good, and also to have the information architecture of the application flow. So we've said we're going to have our margins at 35. So if we have our margins at 35, this means that our content will run from this point to this point. Um, that said, of course, we are needed also we'll need to align our items from maybe left to right or right to left. So it's also wise add to add rows. So with rows, we want to add 1,000 rows. We want to specify, we don't want to have space in between them. And also we want to have a margin of, no, we don't even need margins on this, so we'll just change this to top. We'll change the type to top, and then we have margin, and the height, we can go with 8, or some people usually go with also 4. So let me change to 4. I guess this looks pretty good in terms of designing. Guess the content can fit well. So based on our user needs, so we can see that they need a menu that's not clear. And I remember they mentioned that the menu that exists, I don't know if it's a side menu, and also they mentioned something to do with the navigation menu, or at the bottom navigation. So let's start with first thing first. So maybe uh, not to be, I just want to bring one screen that's related to our to the application that you're building. Copy image, and then I'll just come over here and then drop that image. And let's see. Huh. So I'm trying to drop that image. I don't know why it's not. But we can just design based on what we see here, to see, what we can improve on it. Of course, later we'll discuss during the iteration process, after designing the lo-fi wireframes. We'll discuss on how we'll improve those. So I'll just pick maybe a triangle to represent. Let's start with the bottom navigation. So we want to have a bottom navigation. So a rectangle will sit here well. So we want to have it that way. So this will represent our bottom navigation. Then on top of that, of course, maybe we want to have a couple of icons. So remember our wireframes when designing for lo-fi, we usually don't consider color. So we usually design them on grayscale. So we just want to like represent the icons with squares. So we represent them that way. Also, we'll have like 3 of them or at most 4 for visibility and also to capture our users need. So we have that. So that represents our icons, and for the sake of accessibility, maybe we can add something. So let me just ungroup them. So I can ungroup them, and then we'll add labels on the icons for us to represent like accessibility well, so that when a user who is not familiar with this icon, I remember they mentioned that some icons are not being used well. So I'm trying to counter, we are trying to counter for those users who totally uh, don't know about this icon and they're using it. So in accessibility, remember we usually, the most underlined word is, inclusivity. So we are trying to be inclusive to this person, maybe who is, uh, um, who is on the other end, who maybe they're using mobile banking for the first time. They don't know anything about, you know, how to use phones. So you're trying to uh, have labels to show them that, this does this, and if it's home, if you click here, you're going back to the starting point. So also this tells us one thing, that, you know, um, there's something called accordance. So accordance basically is, you're designing, you're telling your user what to do, like designing using the real world uh, things that happen. So the example I usually give mostly is something like a button. So a button, even if like it's your first time having a phone, you have that intuition of, pushing it, because we are used to something that presents you to you in that way, something like a doorknob, like you just push the door. So something that is used to push, that you can push, will take you somewhere. So that is what we are trying to do here as far as our users are concerned. So we'll change this to 5, and then I'll try to attach this to group this together. So the underline simply represents maybe the title. We'll duplicate that by alt dragging. So we'll do this. We want to have it there, and then now we'll just use the Figma tools to try to align everything clear, and we can align by this, but of course we want them to be on the same line, and also we want to have font, to have the spacing between them increased. We'll add auto layout, and we'll make sure that everything is centered. So with this, we can just come over here and then have our now design well centered there. So that represents our navbar. Of course, with this, we have also to understand something called our users, who are our targeted users. So, and just understanding the background of our users, the demographics, it will help us even know what even the smallest detail, like the border radius, or rather what kind of buttons are we going to use? Is it peeled? Is it the ones that are partially, curved, and all that? So if you want to, our targeted audience, of course, Stanbic, maybe usually, unlike maybe equity, I feel like if randomly, if you ask in a group of 10, uh, if you ask like guys who are using equity, you'll find at least one. So with StanChart, it's widely used, but lack of a better word, their users are not regular users. The regular users that we know. So this means that, you're trying to, whatever you're trying to design over here, we're trying to design something unique, not friendly for everyone, but also unique to meet these certain users needs. So by this I mean that this is not uh, like an app for everyone, but is for like certain targeted audience. If I'm designing for, say, M-Pesa, like you'll find everyone. So it's wise to use things that are welcoming and also inclusive for everyone. Don't know if that makes sense. Uh, Up to that point, in case you're having a question, feel free to unmute and speak, or feel free to unmute and ask a question. Maybe let me give you like 1 minute to ask a question before I continue. Um, Also utilize the chat. Can see a question on the chat. Anyone with a question? Here we can continue. So we have that as our bottom navigation. So another thing we'll want to do, we'll come back to our users. Our users, they want a good performing, maybe navigation. They want a good navigation. So with navigation, we usually have one rule for navigation, especially if you're using Hamburger. Hamburger, for those who don't know, Hamburger, it's the navigation that usually have like some lines, something like something like this. It's usually something like this. The hamburger menu usually looks something like this. So it usually have some benefit, but there's a ground rule that you should know when using it. So when using a hamburger menu, always know that if the menu, or rather the item that you are hiding under this icon, is less than, is more than 80% used in your application, it's not supposed to be there. So anything that's inside that's hidden under this icon, you're supposed to make sure that it's less than 80% used in your application. So if it's more than 80% used in your application, it means that it should be easily available to your users, and I guess that's what we'll sort. So with this, if you've determined in that particular application, if you have determined how many, like the most important uh menu, or the most important item that I need to focus on. And of course, to determine this, we need to do things like auditing. We need to go in depth in UX auditing, try to figure out, the how can we navigate through this particular app. How does the journey of our user look in this application? So I'll have that at 3, then change it to black. Maybe not black. doing this, if I start using the extensions right now, most people will be a bit confused, especially for those who don't have extension. But maybe if you're just wondering what an extension is, an extension is just a tool that is here to help you. Instead of even start making icons from scratch, you can use them to make your life easier, and as you're using Figma. So to do that, you can just come over here and saved. Try to locate where we have you have your plugin for icon. If you don't have a plugin, uh, just come over here where we have find more plugin, and then you can search here. Maybe just search icon. We have like a lot of plugin that can help you that. So if you search icon, you'll be presented with different icon that the community has built, and most of them are free. So on top of that, for those who are still looking for, uh, it's usually here. Come over here under plugin, you can still find your plugin, the plugin you're thinking of. So we have that. So of course, remember these are low fidelity. You don't want to focus more on visual. You just want to focus on IA, and that is how the information architecture of this application looks like, and then try again to gather feedback from our users. So this will be our menu icon, a small menu icon. It can be better, of course, but for now this is our small menu icon. But before that, remember, this is an application, and we need to have something like a toolbar where to present our user with like some basic information, just where they can know where to navigate, and also to find our menu. So our menu will be there. So we are doing that also for aesthetics to make our application look better. We have that. So after that, we'll have maybe some information over here just to tell us maybe which page is this, for those who are having maybe trouble finding, also maybe knowing what page it is. So in terms of this, we are talking about accessibility. So this will have this at maybe 15. So we can say that we'll have our menu over here, and then our icon button over here. So the reason I'm doing that, do you have a question? The reason I'm saying that, it's because if you have a menu over here, in most cases, in terms of accessibility, when users are used to or accustomed to a certain way, the way the icons, or the way your application, or if they've interacted with other application and they're used that, what, if I want to find menu icon, I'll find it here. So if I interchange that, they'll try to look for that menu icon where it's not be, and that's not a good user experience. So you are trying to make for us to achieve that user experience, good user experience, we have to make the life of our user, as they're using our application, as easier and smooth as possible. So maybe I'll just group this to achieve that. And also, this was not centered well. Home, we have that. So this is how we're done with the navigations. So apart from navigations, I remember someone mentioned something to do with um maybe your balance. So, but with that, maybe to counter that, what we can do, we can give them some certain clear options on where they can get, and we can do this by creating maybe clear cards that present certain information in a way that it's directed to our users. We can have them in grid form. So these cards, this is not like it's our it's going to to be 100 VH. So by 100 VH, I mean the screen size, like it's not going to be scrollable. So that again and again. So what we'll do is just have them grouped, have them grouped, and then if you have them grouped, so Control Alt G, achieve that. But if you're using this and you have like a specified, you have a defined design system you're using, it will be a bit easier, because what you'll have to do is just have to come under assets and then pick a certain asset. Maybe if you want an image to be represented by this, it's going to be that. So with this, we'll have an architecture flowing this way. And of course, if we've decided to use to name our icons, also remember we have to name this icon for notification. So it will be something like this. So if this is an auto layout, I'm trying to find a way on how I can have this inside there. So a way on how I can have this inside there, just drag this there, then click on this, have it inside here. But this round I want. Okay, any question up to that point? Huh. So you can try to preview, see how it looks like. So this is how the architecture of our app looks like. So we have this, now we have this. So I'm going to design like another screen really quick, maybe just to show us how we can use now how we can use Figma to leverage the to center our users' needs, and also to make the experience even more better and also simpler for designer to design. So back to our file, this is how it looks like. So with this, we can give it to our user. Of course, if we have more than one screen, we're going to see how we can give this to our user and then test with them. Now, maybe you had like, but the downside with this, we can't test accessibility issues well, and also we can't use this to test usability. So going back to our screen, maybe we're just going to add an icon that maybe add a bottom navigation, or rather it's usually called a model that will tell our user maybe whenever they click this, they'll be presented with certain data. So we'll duplicate that, and then this round we are targeting this. So this will be notification. Our notification will present to us with some data. And of course, as you're designing this, I expect you to have like I was expecting you to have known, because I was basing on the previous sessions that we've had, so you have like a little bit understanding of designing and everything. So based on guidelines on how you should design Android application on material design, if we are having this bottom navigation over here and we are designing any screen that appears here. So say maybe this is home, this is maybe my account, and then banking, and then this is notification. Any screen, any of those screen supposed to have this bottom navigation, supposed to have this bottom navigation. So here we are on notification. On notification, what you're going to do again, you're just going to add everything that we had on the other side, but this will just present to us the notification. So this will tell us where, will tell our users where they are in the application, and on top of that, we'll have the notifications. So the notifications, but I had a question. Someone mentioned about chat feature on a banking application. How is that going to help our user? Are they going to chat? Do we expect them to chat with our? Do you expect them to chat with our users? I mean, tell us, or how is that particular feature going to help our 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 users? Uh, the one I believe it was Sydney who suggested the chat. Sydney, how do you intend to use the the chat functionality? If you're still on the call, they're not on the call. Cool. So,
Hi, Silas.
hello.
Hi, Silas. My name is Silas. The reason I was talking about the chat capability was that in case you struggle within the application, right, you can ask for help. Or case in point, yesterday I sent some money to the wrong number. I tried going to the contact center calling them, and they took 15 minutes to pick my call. The money had already gone. So I'm just thinking about it from that perspective, but maybe it's a bit too specific. Yeah, but it was just an idea. I don't know. I think Millicent had talked about KCB. I don't know how KCB works. But yeah, that was just the thought behind putting the chat capability.
Interesting. That's a really good insight on, maybe of course during like when you're asking when you're trying to get that particular feedback from your user, there's usually a question that, what are the missing features that you think the application doesn't have, or the prototype doesn't have. So I guess that's one of the important feedback. And also you can include that on foundational research if you're following along, for those who will like do this design later. But for now, let's just focus on prototyping, and then on how we can, see how we can tailor this particular app to meet our users' needs. So this will be notification, but I'm not going to focus much. I just want to like have more than 2 screens so that we can see how prototyping is done. So always remember to name your artboard. So we'll say this is notifications. So with notifications, we'll have notifications over here. Also, make sure that it captures every details of your users. So for this case, if you give your users and your users start asking you, you have to ask yourself, what will for me of course you have a persona in mind. for this case because we've not created one, but you'll start asking yourself, me as a user, maybe what are the needs or what are the steps that I want to see here when I come to notification. Maybe notification will allow me to see maybe if someone has sent the money in a day-to-day life of our users. If someone has sent the money and we have the notification here, we expect to pop there. What do we want to see? Of course, first thing, we'll want to see the name of the person who sent. Maybe also we'll have to truncate the text, have it a bit darker to represent maybe we're just trying to represent the architecture of our application. So we'll have that, the name, and then we'll have now the message, the the brief, the message truncated. So we'll try to make the name a little bit bolder and also bigger to be distinctive as far as the IA is concerned. And also, of course, we'll want to see the dates because it might be a notification from maybe a year ago and you're exacting your user. So we'll want to see the date that this particular message was sent, notification was sent, and with this we can have it oriented maybe on either side. So I'll just group this. This is a text. I'll group them together, and also I'll group the 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 whole content. I'll want to align them maybe here or even maybe here. But what I'm sure of, I want to increase space just to create that feel of a user to read. Maybe if someone has like a problem, reading things that are packed together. And also one thing you have to remember is that, if you have a good spacing in your application, it's going to create that effect of, you know, uh, where users can find things a little bit easier and, you make things straightforward for them. So let me try to group that. Okay, I don't know what's wrong. Pick that's supposed to be inside here. So we'll try to frame it. Perfect. And then we'll have it at 5. So information. Okay, so of course you have to have things well proportioned. If you feel like maybe the way your profile looks like it's a bit pixelated, you'll just have to figure a way on how you will make things be well proportioned and also to maintain the general tone of your application. uh, so we have that. So this is how our notification will be oriented. Just to make it look fun, we'll create some 2 other notification and also of course group them. So to group them, if you don't know how to use auto layout, try to learn on how to use it. It's really important and also good to know. So we have that. So we have that sound notification, and maybe the last thing that you're going to do maybe is just to create a small bottom navigation that will help our users to maybe if they want to, let's see, what was the other thing that we got here that we can implement. The side knob, the client. Okay, let's just include one other screen before we go to prototyping. So with this, it's going to be more of so I'm going to make this screen be, maybe if someone wants to read a notification and all that. So and the reason I'm having this is because I just want to show you how we can use features like animate to, you know, to help our user understand our design even more better when you are testing uh, with Lo-Fi. So maybe just create a certain design of this. I'll have that way so that someone knows that this is a navigation drawer. So with that, I'll have it maybe just to indicate. Of course, we have that we have a certain familiarity with how bottom navigation usually. I mean, how navigation drawer bottom navigation drawer usually looks like. So in most cases, we usually have that, and then we can create now some inputs. So our inputs will have labels, and also you know uh, an input that tells our users now what to do. I mean, where to enter your data, and use that input a couple of times. So remember, all this you're doing on grayscale. So if you have your inputs, all your inputs should be the same size for, to maintain the tone of the general tone of your application, and also to have your IA flow. So this is our button, and our button will have maybe a text on it. Just let me just create a text. This will represent a text. So this text should be centered to, and just to maintain the same norm, we'll make this darker. So this one should be inside that, and now with this we can try to add this. So if we have this at this point, this is not really a good design, because we don't our user don't know like what step uh, at what point they are in our application. So we have to have something like titles to tell them that at this point you're trying to maybe enter contact information, you're trying to check your account and all that. So to do that, you're going just to include text over here, and this is a representation of a typography in our grayscale. So this will be a bit bigger. We have that. So we have that. So maybe I'll just frame this. So I'll frame this with everything that's inside. Control Alt G, and then maybe Control Alt G. Control Alt G basically is a command for framing. If you're just wondering how you can do that, normally you can right click on the components that you want to frame, and then come over here on frame section, and then just click on frame section. So now let's go to maybe prototyping. So with this, we are trying to leverage the tools that we have in Figma to help us. But before that, maybe I just want to pause there and explain some few types of prototypes that we have. We usually have low fidelity prototypes. So low fidelity prototypes, these are basically wireframe like sketches that that are created quickly and easily. So as you've seen, we've just gathered our users feedback, and then we went to low fidelity prototypes so that we can make things easier. And then if that's not what our users want, we can come back and then change, try to present to them again. So we usually have low fidelity prototype. Uh, we usually have interactive prototype. So these are basically they're more detailed, more realistic, but uh, but they don't have things like maybe defined images, color. They can have images, but they don't have that color. So high fidelity, it represents the real screen, how the real screen will look like in in an existing application, or in an application that you're creating, how the user will use the product. So those are type of maybe prototypes that we should aware that exist. And also, so first of all, I just want to make you understand what the benefit of prototyping in Figma now, with the Figma word in it. So one thing, maybe just to skim through it, we usually have all-in-one platform. So it helps you to to help you to create, to test, like as you can see, we have it over here. So you can like test for mobile. You can test for uh it's usually called tablet, like different screens that you have. So at any breakpoint, you can just test with it. So maybe if you have point in case is if you have let me just try to control D and then make this a little bit bigger, then see how it will look like. So we have that, then we have this. So we can see, like, we can still test with it. So when we use Figma to prototype, it gives us that, in gaming we usually called the god mode of, trying to, you don't have like to switch when it comes to, tablet. We have to switch this to switch the frame to like reflect this. So you just have all in one. Also, the feedback bit. So especially when you're dealing with your user, so maybe say we prototyped this. Of course, I'm supposed to explain this as I prototype, so that we see how that feedback bit is very, very crucial. So to prototype, of course, you have to change from design mode to prototyping mode. So here we have like uh three three three, should I call them button, but let's just call them CTS. So we have design, we have prototype, and then we have inspect. So design is for designing mode. As you've seen, I was designing, so you can use these tools while designing. We have prototype. This is specifically when now you're coming to prototype to see how your user can click on something, and then trying to interact with those screen, how you can incorporate that. So inspect, on the other hand, is if you are trying to use the items that are existing on these items. If you're trying this is usually useful for for developers. So if you're trying now to translate this maybe to HTML, CSS, of course here we can see we've been told that this is the corresponding code of the HTML version of whatever I've clicked. And it's not only CSS, we can design for iOS, maybe if we are trying to design that application in iOS, and also Android. So for Android version, whatever I've just clicked, that frame will be something like this. So on prototype mode, we want to have it prototype, but remember we don't want to prototype over here, because these are just lo-fi. So we'll duplicate this page, and then we'll rename this to, so this will be lo-fi prototypes. So on lo-fi prototype now, we can switch to prototype mode and then start prototyping on this. So to prototype on this, first, now that maybe we've gathered that information instance and we know exactly what's supposed to go where. So if we know that, we know that maybe if someone clicks on notification, they're supposed to be navigated here. They're supposed to navigate here, and how are they going to, how is the experience going to look like? So I'm going to add, it's supposed to be on click mode. Maybe we're going to have let me just say scroll to, and then no, I can't say scroll. So I want them to navigate to that screen, but I can use certain animation to do that. So I can say that I just want that screen maybe to slide in, or maybe I want to push it in, move it in, and all that. So you can now see the kind of animation that will appear here. So if it's moving, you can decide that I want it to, move in this way. But since we are moving from this screen to this screen, I want this to be like it's on top of the stack, for those who are getting what I'm talking about. So it will be something like this. So let's see how that will look like. Back on this. So this round, we don't want the design part, we want the wireframing bit. So let's see, let's give it time to load. But as it loads, also on top of that, maybe we'll just pick our design, but sorry, I didn't see, I didn't notice that my border radius has this whole effect, so I'll change a bit. So this is 30. So we usually start from top left, 30, 30. So this is 30, this is 30. And then I want the bottom right to be 0. So for it to be 0, I'll have to set that to 0. And then the bottom left corner, I want it to be 0. So it will be 0. So this is what I want. This is what I want it to appear when maybe someone clicks on, let's say when someone clicks on this. So back to prototype mode. When someone clicks on this, we want to have this, but this round we don't want to navigate. We want it to be an overlay, to open an overlay. So when they open an overlay, what we want this overlay to be uh to be bottom centered, so something like this. And then we want to specify some other things that we can do. Can we close outside, like it's like just a model, so we want to close when someone clicks outside that navigation, we want it to close. Also, we want to have a background. I'll have it increased to maybe 55. And now let's try it out. So we say when we click over here, so I didn't include the right animation again. So back to this, it was when we're moving from this point to that, we have an overlay, and this overlay, it's going to have a certain animation that's moving in. So we have that. Also, maybe we can just include, you're going to have when someone clicks on this specific item, they're going to be navigated to this screen, and then they're going to navigate to this screen. When they're taken to that screen, so this is going to move in this way again. Let's try to test. So again, of course, you say that it will be something like that. Not included the button to go. Yeah, it works. So we can see that we've included that, and that we've achieved that particular part of prototyping. Of course, we don't just want when we click outside for it to close, but also you want when someone maybe clicks the submit button. So in reference to this, of course, we're just trying to see how the architecture of the app is good to meet our users' need, and that's what we are referring to, creating a prototype that is user focused. So we can say that when someone clicks on this, what you're going to do, you're going to add you can just say it, let's add it something like that. But when click on that, we're going to close an overlay. So to close an overlay, to preserve scrolling, no. So to close an overlay doesn't lead nowhere, so it will just give you an X over here. So again, we try to do that. So let's try that one more time. We'll have that, and then if click on that, it closes. Click on that, closes. So that said, but maybe just to one thing for those who don't know more about animation, we can include one more item. So with this, I just want to delete everything inside here. So from here to here, I want to delete everything, and then this will be just a blank screen, and this blank screen will be, this is just like a splash screen. So let's go on design mode, have it that way, just to show you how maybe we can add animation to make our users engage while using the application. So if it's the splash screen on prototype, just a minute, and then also we want it to be centered at the center. So on the prototype mode, we want to, of course, first of all, we want the flow to start from here. So we're going to have it prototyped from here to here. This round, we're going to say after a certain time. So we are going to use after delay, but this delay is going to be around maybe 600. So while designing a splash screen, what you should know is that if your page loads more than 3 seconds, in most cases, that's a bad UX, because it will take long. Like you might lose some users, and that's what. So whatever time you're using, it should be below 1.5 seconds. So let me use something like 800. Simulate this, and then the type of animation that we want to smart animate, and then yeah, easy out. It's okay. Let's see how that works. So on lo-fi, you're going from start, then we can see that was too fast, so we can try to play around with that. Let's see, after delay you can have our usual 1500, then go back. So that took long, but I hope we've understood. So over here, we can come over here and try to click this, see what will happen. try to click on notification, see where we'll be taken, and also try to click on that. So this was a simple like exercise to show us how we can prototype and also how we can make user-centric decisions when we're trying to design and also get feedback from our users to come up with a realistic a product that meets our users' needs. So that said, I believe due to interest of time, that's what I had presented for today. Mandela, are you around? Or Steve? Mic check, Steve. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like that was all for today. Unless we have any question, I that is all. Thanks, and thanks for listening, guys. If you have any question, you can just shoot it right away.
Okay, guys. Any question, feedback? Anything? You can write. So there's no any question like, yeah, Lavin, Jane, Odhiambo, I have learned a lot today. Thank you. Okay.
A question.
Okay.
Um, there's a time that I was off the call for a while, so I don't know if Silas talked, but I'm curious as to when we're talking about user-centric design, does that mean like we're completely not considering the business goals like at all? I don't know if I missed him talking about that.
Okay, Silas. Silas.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Sorry about that. So, when we're talking about user-centric goal, so I mean user-focused approach, we are considering the business side, but we are trying to like get product that, of course, we usually have like that drift. Like we usually have at the beginning, we said that we usually have foundational research. At the same time, we usually have like the research that is skewed towards helping our business to meet the specific needs. So user centric approach is basically just prioritizing our users. So whatever we are doing, we are not thinking about prioritizing our users needs and uh, users needs and the problems that they're facing. And with this, you're not thinking about anything else, but this round we are only thinking about how is how are our users needs as far as our application is concerned. And this is important because you know uh one thing you should know that is that without your application creates a certain value. So we usually say that any application that exists and has successful users, it's solving a certain niche in, in the ecosystem, or rather in the community. So if we are focused to that point of just getting their needs first, what are you coming to look to get into this particular application, and also what am I giving you? So if I give you that, then after that, we can try and, on the other end, try and focus and see where we can get where the business now can what the business can get from these users that we have, since right now they are here, they're getting whatever they want. Of course, if I'm getting what I want in this application, if maybe I'm using Figma a lot, it means that, I'm getting what I want. Then the business now will align their goals, or rather align their needs uh, to meet somewhere, like the users needs and the business need to meet. I know it's kind of vague, but if anyone else has like a different explanation, to be good to explain. But I don't know if that explains your question, Margaret.
Yeah, it actually does. As you're explaining, I was thinking about Chat GPT and how it's been free and it's captured its users for a really long time. Okay, not a really long time, like really well. So like maybe if they were to introduce a premium feature, then that would be like an example of seeing how they can make business out of them meeting the user's goals.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's like the exact thing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
So those asking for the recording, you can get the recording on Friends of Figma Nairobi YouTube channel. Okay. Okay, and next one, Kumu have a question. A solid understanding of customers might sound obvious in user-centered design. My question is, how do you ensure that the application provide a positive impact? Silas, a question to you.
That's really interesting. So I remember, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a UX/UI designer and also a UI/UX technical mentor. So while teaching design at beginning, uh, very beginning, the first topic, it's usually we usually have accessibility. It's usually inclusive design. Yeah, inclusive design. And by this, we usually focus on giving designers the solid understanding of what's their role in the ecosystem. What are you what are you creating? Because we tell them that, there are dark patterns exist, yes, but at what point, you as a designer, are you like going to use a dark pattern even if you're paid? So to ensure that, maybe just to answer your question before I digress further, to ensure that, to have a solid understanding of customer, it sounds obvious in user-centric design. How do we ensure, I'm trying to get your question, how do you ensure applications provide positive impact? So for application to provide a positive impact, of course, in most cases now, we usually depend on designer, and also the business, or rather the organization as a whole. So for this particular product to provide a positive impact, of course, one of the major things we have to focus on is the mission and the vision. If we have this vision and the mission, of course, when creating this product, or even me with products that I usually create, if you're on the call and I've ever created a product for you, one thing I usually ask is the mission and the vision of the product. If you have that, then you know you because someone who came up with that mission and the vision, they have like a certain need they're trying to solve. Maybe my mission, or rather my mission is to provide maybe a better understanding of UX. It means that I'm trying to solve a certain niche in this. So whatever you do, make sure that your product have a clear mission and vision that that it's trying to solve, and that mission and vision is you know is something good that a community can benefit on. And with that also, it's your role as a product designer to try and come up with product that create a value. So it more relies on you user and business as a whole. So but not user per se, but designer are the one who you know holds that power to change this particular product, because you are the one who is usually involved at the very very beginning of the product. For the stakeholders, what they'll do, they'll just present you with maybe the idea, and for you, you have to take it from there. So it's for you to understand what you're doing, maybe to answer it that way. Back to you.
Okay, any other question? Mm-hmm. So, like, I have shared our link tree link. You can find us on WhatsApp, Discord. Like, I have shared all our social media. So, is there any question? Any other like suggestion? Any suggestion? Okay, thank you guys for joining this session today, and Silas too. And Silas is also our mentor. Oh, and Silas, you have a question here. Someone is asking if you're a mentor on ADP lists. Silas?
No, Collins. I'm not a mentor on ADP list unless I don't understand exactly what ADP is, but you can at least unmute and elaborate further. Maybe I am, and I don't know the initials.
Yeah, ADP list is a community for mentors, I think.
Not
So
really.
like,
I'm not on that, so I'd love to. Maybe if it's open.
but he's a mentor in our Figma community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other question or suggestion? Something you want us to do next time? Okay, you can call it a day, and make sure to join our WhatsApp group